of skin. It was the rain. I didn't find them until the rain chewed up the earth. Churned it into mud, and the floor of the forest spit them out. So yes, that must be right. It wasn't until the morning after the storm I saw them. There were half a dozen of them. Maybe more. A heap of wet skin and decaying cloth, crowded inside a dark pit I'd never seen before. My first thought was, who could have done this? My mom, my father, my cousin, all as dead as the grain girls in the mud. Long dead. And I live alone, in the middle of the forest, in a tiny cottage that no one visits. It was dusk by the time I'd finished filling up the pit. God forgive me. I slept wretched, damp and dirty, while through my window the moon shone clean and white as a skull. It rained again that night. Almost too loud to sleep. But I did sleep. And when I woke, there was something growing from the pit. A tree. But its surface didn't feel like bark. It felt like was before I noticed its leaves. They were hands, thin as parchment, the hands of these graying girls reaching. I gave up after the first cut. The work was just too gruesome. That next night was still. No storm, no rain, no sleep. Just the sound of those graying girls outside my window. Please open the door. There, yeah.
Okay.
Did they pull themselves up from the muck? Open the door. Or did they drop from the branches of that terrible tree? I didn't care. I still don't. Their voices. The door. I imagine it's what the woman from the nearby town sounded like. Lilting, delicate, a little cruel. It must be where he brought them in from. We'll find a way in. It continued all night. We will find a way, so just open the door. Eventually, I couldn't tell the voices apart from the crackle of the fire or the wind in the trees outside. Within a day, I stopped hearing the girls at my window. I stopped seeing them milling about outside, though that ghoulish tree remained. I thought, so foolish, I thought that they were actually gone. But then it started. At first out of the corner of my eye. I told myself that it was all in my mind. A trick of the light. But I knew. slept, and when I awoke, they were everywhere. But what could I do? I couldn't leave. The wood loomed so dark, its trees like hungry hands. Their bony branches cracked like the wheels of a distant cart. So I drank out of their skin, and I ate out of their breasts, and I fell asleep inside their mouths with spools of hair for my pillow. I am a good person. I work hard. When my mother died, I took care of my father. When my father died, I looked after my cousin. When my cousin died, and I was alone, I never complained. They say this wood breeds strange things, but I live here, and I am not strange. I am a good person. A good woman.
So foolish.
Laughs the meat of my house.
So foolish.
He finally showed up today, just before sunset. I heard the wheeze of his cart's wheels from a long, long way off. My face was cold, my throat was dry, my eyes were hot.
A very fine evening to you.
What would he think of my house?
Was worried I wouldn't make it before dark.
It had begun to smell,
Just in time, eh?
stinking like soggy flesh, old blood.
Are you cooking? I'm famished.
But he didn't seem to notice at all. He actually ate. He began speaking of his most recent travels, what wares sold best where. I felt ill, and it was local town gossip, just like always. His health, the weather, new stock. I told him I knew about the girls. He feigned ignorance. I said, the girls from town. I've seen them. I know what you did. I said for him not to worry, and it was all taken care of. I buried them. Were there more in his card, I wondered. He didn't stay to kiss my throat this time. He became very pale and said he had to leave. As he pulled away, their skin began to peel with him. the last time I see him. But when I think of him, from now on, it'll be him looking out. From all that skin.